I'm Chief Investigator Ron Regan, and thank you for joining this special News 5 Town Hall. For the last year, the News 5 investigative team has been uncovering questionable billing practices and poor customer service within the Cleveland Water Department. Joining me is Investigator Jonathan Walsh, as well as just some of the 16,000 customers who filed complaints in just the last year. Right now, what I'd like to do is just let you know that we invited the Cleveland Water Department to take part, but it declined. So we'll start with customers. And how would all of you collectively describe how you've been treated? There you go. Jonathan, I think you've got a few customers that are in the hole for $16,000.
16 grand. Let's have Bob Adler and Al Shaw join us here. You guys are from the Moose Lodge in Northfield Village.
Correct.
All you do is raise money to help people. Is that correct?
Basically, yes, that's correct.
How has the Cleveland Water Department helped you?
They got in our way, nothing but in our way. It's they're making it impossible for us to donate to the charities that we do. We got more than a dozen charities that we contribute to on a monthly basis.
So describe what started to happen with these outrageous bills and the outrageous readings.
Well, we went from basically where we were using $135 worth of water every 3 months to a bill of $7,504 in a 3-month period. We were told in their literature that there was an early leak prevention, that we would, that it would notify us. We never got a notification. When we called and asked why, they said, it's a courtesy. We're under no obligation to give you any notice of any kind. It's kind of crazy. We went from around 240 to 250 gallons a day that we were using to over 25,000 gallons a day. We've had the village engineer come out at the water department's request, the village of Northfield's engineer, who came out and said it's impossible. You could run the water for 24 hours, 7 days a week, and you can't get to that usage. The pipes aren't big enough.
And Al, how does this make you feel, knowing that this is over your head?
Well, it's angry. You try to deal with it, and you work with them and talk with. They don't want to hear it. They could care less. It's your problem.
And so you guys have been forced to seek legal counsel.
Yes, we have.
And what's that like for you?
It's more money down the tubes that could be going to something more useful.
Yeah.
One more thing, Jonathan, it's on the legal counsel issue. For 2 years, we asked the Cleveland Water Department, please send a representative out, check for leaks. For 2 years, they ignored us. It took a letter from an attorney to get them to come out after 2 years. I've never felt more like being, and I keep saying this, the Cleveland Water Department is a big bully. They're kicking sand in everybody's face and saying, what can you do about it? Well, hopefully Channel 5 will show us what we can do about it.
We're going to do our part, no doubt about it. Guys, I'm sorry you're going through this, but you know what? These guys aren't alone here, Ron. You have many more examples as well.
We do. I wonder if you could stand up for a moment, tell me your name, and tell me what happened to you.
My name is Sherry Gordon and lived in Olmsted Falls, Ohio. It started out with a similar story, having a normal water bill that just escalated every month, and, futile calls to them. They originally said, we understand that's not possible. Don't worry about it. Don't pay it. We'll get it fixed. It took months and months to finally get somebody to come out. They did send somebody out who said that there was no problem, but it was over his head, that he would have to send out a special investigator. The special investigator came out, couldn't find anything, but said, that we would have to continue to work with the water department. Eventually, the bill continued to grow, and it got over $30,000. And then one day, we got a bill that was zero. Well, what we found out that they had done is that they had passed the total amount onto our mortgage holder, which was Fifth Third Bank. Fifth Third Bank thought it was a tax lien, didn't realize it was a water, and then basically threw it onto our escrow.
It went right on to your monthly house payment. What did that do to you?
It made our house payment over $4,500 a month, and with a son in private school, we were forced to, we had our local politicians out and tried to make calls to them. It just went nowhere, so we were forced to sell our home.
Now, to recap, your quarterly bill was probably more in the neighborhood of perhaps a couple $100.
$200.
And so you open up your bill one day And
it's $3,000.
And then it just keeps
Kept
going up from there.
Yes.
Did the water department ever tell you, look, this is what we're going to do, we're putting this on your tax lien?
Never. It just, one day it was zero. We thought it had finally been resolved, and no, to find out that the new mortgage payment was over $4,500 a month.
And you had to sell the home?
Sell the home.
At a loss?
Yes.
All right, Jonathan.
Just a terrible situation there. Now, while the Moose Lodge has had to deal with one building, our friend here, Francisco Vasquez, you've had several properties that have been affected. Tell us what happened with you.
Yes, sir. I bought in the near west side a small little commercial building, and the small little commercial building had a couple of houses added on to the lot. Well, the small little commercial building, they were property that were closed. I started to renovate it. I have never had water service in the commercial building, but I did have in the two houses. Mm-hmm. But when they were properties that were closed, I had to, fix them up. And by the time I fixed them up to rent them, each one had a $3,000 water bill for water I had not consumed. Because from the time I bought the property to the time I let somebody in there, it was $3,000 in each house. Oh. But my situation was that the commercial building never had any water services because I wasn't ready for it. Yet they were billing me $6,000 for a water sprinkler system, and then they came and added a water meter without me soliciting it for the commercial building. Then I started getting a water bill. Then I got the houses, another house there. I don't have any water service in there, but since I made the transfer, I'm getting a water bill. Plus, not only a water bill, I'm getting the sewer bills, and
you have a lot of bills here. They just kept going up and up and up.
And the problem is, two of these properties, I have bills for hundreds of dollars, and they have no water service, not even a meter.
So you've said all along that you feel that you're being scammed.
I am being scammed. And if it wasn't for Channel 5 that came in and intervened for me, I had a lien that they were going to put on this property, but they found out that the water system had been closed for about 30 years on the sprinkler system. Oh. So Channel 5 did get that release, but the water bills, which they're putting on for the commercial building, which I don't have any water services, are still active.
Wow. All right. Well, Francisco, we'll keep on your side, no doubt about it. That's what we do.
I appreciate Channel 5 because if it weren't for them, I would be in a big situation.
Yeah.
I've been scammed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And Ron, you have
well, this is a huge problem as well. If you could stand and tell me your name as well, but I believe there's a tax lien on your home.
Yes.
Your name is?
Odessa Parks.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I was getting normal water bills. Then all of a sudden I started getting big bills. And I go down and question them about it. They tell me that you need to get a plumber because you're using the water. I go out and get certified plumbers.
Certified plumber.
Plumbers. Then they would give them the little green ticket and tell them to fill it out. And they would fill it out, and it said there was no leaks. But when I go down there, they tell me, well, it is. Just pay it. And
because we said so.
Because we said so. And then it just kept going until it got up to about $14,000. And then they put some of it on my
your home
county tax. Yeah,
on your county tax.
Yes, but they won't do anything.
They won't take it off.
They won't take it off. And ironically, I told them one day after I had talked to you, I'm going to see Ron to see what he can do. Channel 5. And the lady told me, said, well, you don't have to. Channel 3 is right down the street there.
Well, let me ask you this. This has been a big worry for you, I know.
Yes, it has.
You've lived in that home for 54 years. Mm-hmm. You've paid your water bill every year for 54 years. Yeah. Is this, how would you describe how the water department has treated you?
Terrible. Terrible, because when you go, they don't give you no answers. You just pay it, and you're asking for questions. You want to see some manager or something, and I never get a chance to even see a manager. Yeah. Whether he could do anything or not, at least they could sit down and talk to them and kind of make me feel a little better. But
Sure.
they still charging.
Thank you. Jonathan.
And that customer service element is one of the reasons why I want to talk to David here. David, you had a situation, not as huge a bill as some of these other people, but you've described your frustration level as how?
Unbelievable. I've worked with many large businesses negotiating contracts. You know, when you have a representative telling you, I don't have to talk to you, hanging up on you, it's not my problem, you just can't do business that way. I looked at a lot of different options on what I could do to try to get to some resolve. I called you called me back, thanks to Channel 5. We got involved in this thing. The unfortunate thing right now as it stands, I had to pay my entire bill.
Even though it was their mistake.
It was their mistake. Paid the entire bill, and I'm now just lying in wait to see what I can do to seek out what I can get back.
And you had mentioned to me, out of any organization or any government agency that you've dealt with, tell us, how does this compare?
Well, I've dealt with the IRS, and they're very accommodating.
Compared to Cleveland Water.
Yeah, Cleveland Water is probably the best description would be the biggest bully that I've ever seen. And all I can say to the people that get caught up in their web, you better pay the bill. You better pay the bill. You have no choice. You have nowhere to go. I tried to contact the mayor at the time my problem started. The commissioner reached out to everybody. You're going to get shut down every single corner you try to turn.
And you've got no answers.
The answer I got, the reason my bill was so expensive, now I monitored my water usage 2 years previous to Clear Read, 2 years after Clear Read. My water usage has increased by 40%, same two people living in the same house. I did make some changes. I got a high efficiency washer and dryer and a new water tank to use less water, but still, you know, I'm averaging 1.4 to 1.6 MCFs of water usage, and I never came close to that before. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a little suspect.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, David, thank you. And Ron, this keeps going.
It does. And we have another customer here that I know the total figure on your bill was what?
$163,000.
Tell me your name.
August Garofoli. I own some property down in Cleveland, and unfortunately, there's not even plumbing in the building. But the bill, which is I've never received a bill before, was literally tacked onto the door and tacked onto my tax bill.
And there's, just go back over that essential point. There's no
The plumbing had been removed from vandalism in the property, so I've since repaired it, but it would be egregious to assume that somebody wouldn't send a shut-off notice at $5,000, $10,000. Why wouldn't they shut the bill off at shut the water off at $25,000?
Right, and bring you into it and explain.
Bring me into it.
Let's work
Exactly.
with this. Did someone say, let's get together and work with this?
Not one person handled the phone call properly. I asked to keep moving up through the hierarchy. They didn't understand the complexity of the problem. Therein lies the business process issue.
Mm-hmm. And sum up the way you've been treated as a customer.
Well, it's on my tax bill, and what they've done is jeopardize the value of the property and its marketability and its usage. And unfortunately, we can't afford that in the city of Cleveland.
And in a county and a city that has gone through a foreclosure crisis.
It can't happen. And thank God for Channel 5 and Ron Regan.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Jonathan.
One of our more recent cases that we've covered the Urbans, Tim and Betty. You guys had some road work being done on your street. And what happened?
Well, they were relining the pipe. We were told first we were getting new water lines. We found out it was just a reline. And our water meters were all shut off. We were being fed from the fire hydrants on the street. And also, we were put into a predicament where we had to drink hose water, which was very nasty. Now, our meters were shut off. They were pumping this water from these hoses into our homes. Yet, being though our meters were shut off, we were still getting an actual bill for the water that we were supposedly using.
And water that never passed through that meter.
Right, because like I said, the meter was off. Now I'm here with me and my wife, but we are speaking for the whole street. Of course, it was a street issue. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, the meter's not running, so how can they charge you money for water that isn't even going through the meter?
And they claimed it was an actual bill.
Yes, they did.
And how did that make you feel when you saw that?
I don't see how they can get an actual bill, an actual reading, when the meter's not even running.
And it wasn't just your house, like your husband said. I mean, it was up and down the street.
The whole street, yes.
And your neighbors, everybody got together, and they basically said, this is enough.
Yes. We even called the mayor, nothing was done. Called the water company, nothing was done.
So what do you do now? I mean, you just kind of sit and wait and hope they don't charge you?
Well, we're counting on you to help us.
And we are. We're in that process. And it just seems like you guys were billed for, once again, water you didn't use.
Water we didn't use. Exactly. I mean, we were fed water,
Yeah.
but it was undrinkable. We bought water on top of it because who wants hose coffee water? Who wants hose ice cube water? So we actually had to spend money out of our pocket, but yet, like we said, we're getting charged for water that we didn't even like and wasn't even going through our meters.
Yeah.
Actual reading.
Supposedly
Yes,
actual
well,
readings.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming and talking with us. Ron?
All right, Jonathan, thanks. There's a constant theme that we keep hearing over and over again, and that's excessive water bills and poor customer service. Tell me what your story is and what happened to you.
My name is Craig Christ, and my bill, I bought a large property up here in Cleveland. I moved here, and I regret it. I hate to say that, but I regret it. We have a warehouse, very few people. We make coffee, flush toilets. The bill went up precipitously. I contacted them, of course, nothing. I went down there, nothing. I contacted my councilman. He was able, and I hired a firm to go through every pipe, every faucet.
Looking for leaks.
Yes, no leaks. My councilman at the time, Polensik, before redistricting, he was able to get them to come out. They couldn't find any leaks. But they still said, it's on me. And I said, but it doesn't make sense. The former owner brought 20 years worth of water bills to me. He used water in a processing line. He used less water than we did flushing toilets and making coffee. We had it documented. It was empirical evidence. They are an unregulated monopoly. There's no checks and balances, and we pay the price. These poor people. I mean, I'm a businessman. They're going to bankrupt me maybe. But they put it on my... they just send me a letter unilaterally. I have no say-so, and they just put it along with the county sewer. It's about $74,000. I have to pay it every month, or I lose my building.
Yeah. And just, again, the total amount that you're facing now, just to remind folks again, is
$74,000.
$74,000.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank
Jonathan.
you, Channel 5.
Thank you.
And we can't emphasize enough that we did actually ask leaders from the Cleveland Water Department to be here, answer these people's questions, listen to their complaints one-on-one. They decided not to entertain that invitation. Let's talk to the cars here. You guys had a terrible situation. Kind of step us through what happened with you.
Okay, well, I own a rental house in South Euclid, and I've been renting it out for 28 years. And the quarterly bill was between, say, $300 and $400.
Okay.
Okay, well, I received a bill for $2,800. Now, $2,800, and they said I had a leak. There are 3 people that live in it right now, and 2 of them were gone that month. It was like 3 weeks in January. Now, January, they're not washing cars, they're not watering the lawn, and
you don't have a pool there.
No, and I had a plumber out, and he said there is no leak. And then I called them back and I said, I've had a plumber, there's no leak, and they said, well, the leak is gone now. That's why.
Could they ever prove that you had a leak?
They say they can, but how could they? I don't see water being used like that.
And this is another thing that we see time and time again. You did nothing to the house. You didn't fix anything. You didn't have pipes put in. You didn't do anything. And it was still pay the bill.
Yes, and here's the interesting part of the story. As we got into it deeper with the water company, this house, of course, has the new electronic meters. This bill was for the period January through the end of March 2016. Now, of course, you don't see that bill until mid-April. She gets a copy of the bill because she owns the house, and the water bill has to stay in her name. And also the tenant gets a copy of the water bill. That's all fine. What we found out from the water company is that they know, their system told them that there was a problem occurring here because this usage went up for a 3-week period. Out of the 3 months, it went up, stayed level like this, and then immediately dropped off. Now, when they saw this happening, they said that they sent her a letter she never received.
Right.
They said the tenant a letter he never received. In the meantime, this aberration here cost her over $100 a day. This usage was 20 to 25 times what the normal usage would be. Now, why couldn't somebody have picked up a phone?
That's what I said. Why didn't you call me? And they said, oh, we don't do that. And I said, well, you know, I'm going to get an attorney. And they said, oh, go get an attorney. We have better attorneys, and it's going to cost you more money than you owe us.
They actually said that to you?
Oh, yeah.
Over the phone?
Yes.
And how did you feel about that?
Well, I wasn't there for that conversation, but
Thankfully,
like I said,
right.
you know, I mean, we're in an advanced technology age here. They're not helping their customers if they see a leak. Sending out a letter is one thing, but you're not going to get that for 5 days, probably. In the meantime, it's costing her $100 a day for a leak she doesn't even know, or water consumption that she doesn't even know is happening.
And I called all kinds of, I called all kinds of executives. I talked to them, and they said, there's nothing you can do. We'll shut your water off. So I said, well, if you shut my water off, I'm going to lose my tenant. They said, well, we're going to shut your water off if you don't pay the money.
Wow. So bullying tactics?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, just like what the Moose Lodge was saying.
Yeah,
Similar
it's not
kind of
like some of
situation.
these other people, not as much money, but it's just a single house.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hopefully
Thank
we can get you
Channel
through.
5 for
Yes.
helping.
Well, thank you for coming, for sure. Ron?
Sure. Well, and also keep in mind, you're among 16,000 water customers who filed complaints with the water department about their bills. Sir, tell me your name and what happened to you.
Hani Bastaurus. I have the house is closed, is empty from July 15, and first bill I got $2,000. Second one I got $5,000, $7,000, and there's nobody living in the house.
And you've checked for leaks?
Yes.
And there are no leaks? Now, when you call the water department, the answer is?
Nobody talk to them. Nobody, you can do nothing with these people.
Poor treatment?
Yes.
All righty, thank you. Let me move down here, sir. Tell me, please stand and tell me your name.
My name is Jerry Quillen. We live in northern Michigan. She inherited her mother's house in Parma. The month of January, I've got a sewer bill here that says her previous bill was $21. The month of January was $400 and some dollars. I called them. I said, there's nobody there. The place is closed. We're at home. She was in the hospital. Well, you got a major leak. Well, there's no major leak.
You checked that?
Oh, yeah. We've checked it. My wife's cousin watches the place while we're gone. And she said, well, just pay the bill. I said, I want you to research back what the bills were in the past. And she says, we can't do that. Just pay the bill and forget about it.
So your total water bill alone now is, what would you guess?
Almost $400 just for the water alone. And the sewer was $400 and some dollars. And they turned it off.
And they turned it off?
Oh, yeah, they
Did
turned
they
it
tell
off.
you that you had a right to a water board review?
No, they didn't tell me nothing
Did you
except
ever hear about
pay
that?
the bill.
Pay
No,
the bill.
No, because we don't live here. We don't know all the details.
Right,
So all we want to do is, we stay a day or two and then we have to go home because you can't live without water.
What the water department will insist on, that believe it or not, if you are renting a property, that you lose that right in their view.
Okay.
And
no, it's not rented property.
Okay.
It's just being worked on so we can eventually get rid of it.
I understand. Sir, if you could stand and tell me your name and what happened in your case.
Yes, so my name is Mike Bogarsik. I've been in the Cleveland area for 36 years. I have some rental property. And a similar one to what I have now, I have $42,000 water and sewer bill. in that time,
Let me stop there for a moment.
Yes, sir.
You did say $42,000.
Yes, sir, $42,000. And I only have a property tax due for this $162, and they've been going every 3 months. Starts from $3,000, $6,000, $8,000, up to $3,000. I have one person living there for 10 years. He's a sick person. He can't even use the toilet. He have a bag to pee.
So there's not a lot of usage there, and you've checked for leaks.
No, I checked for leak, and at that time, I remodeling 10 years ago, I even put a ground line, new line, and that's ridiculous how they treat the people. Similar, I went yesterday to the water department, and I said, can you give me for 1 year statement for this property? They said, no, computer down. I said, how about you if you give me for the past 3 months? They say, yeah. After the computer work, they give me $250 sewer and $303 water bill. I said, ma'am, I don't even have no water meter there. And say, actual reading. I said, this is scam. She said, pay or go. And I even talked on the phone. I said, they said they don't want to hear. I said, why not sell to the China? They said, after I sell to the Chinese people, they hang up on me. I don't know what to do, you know. This is ridiculous. This is terrible. This I never seen in my life. I have this for 36 years in this business. $42,000, I don't pay for all my property in 10 years.
Sure.
I don't understand, you know. Somebody need thanks for Channel 5. I see in the news everybody going for this problem. I said, why I'm not coming and join you guys and let nation see what's going on in the Cleveland area. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we can promise all of you that we will continue.
Well, they told me somebody must have broke in, and is why the water bill was used up like that.
Well, I want to thank all of you for being here, and I want to thank all of you for joining us at this special town hall. And to learn more about what we uncovered in our exclusive investigation, right here on Newsnet, on News5Cleveland.com, you can check it out. You can get onto our website and see the entire investigation itself. And if you believe your rights are being violated, you can call the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland for a lot more information about your rights as a water customer. Now, for Jonathan Walsh and the entire News 5 investigative team, I'm Chief Investigator Ron Regan.